That is the underlying messaging here, that this somehow represents black liberation, that this somehow represents progress when a black person can look and act the same way as a white person with money. So Polo. So first and foremost, let me answer this question. I was about to change shirts and I decided at the last minute. Is Polo officially unk-coded now? I was told that any man my age wearing Polo, that is an unk outfit. And I guess that's how it works. I thought Polo was just okay clothing. Anyway, Polo released a campaign, Polo Ralph Lauren for Oak Bluffs. And as you look at this is a very specific aesthetic. The Oak Bluffs are, Oak Bluffs is the black neighborhood of Martha's Vineyard. And the only thing about Martha's Vineyard is a very elite vacation destination for people in the Northeast or whatever. If you ain't got real money, you are not there. This is more than black excellence. This is the black elite. This is not my mom is a lawyer, my daddy's a doctor. This is, my daddy is a banker, my mama is a tech entrepreneur. This is, we are 3 generations deep at a HBCU. Our name is on a building. This is Obama level of black elite. What I'm saying is it's not necessarily nouveau riche. There's a level above to get to this point. In isolation, I don't care if there's marketing towards a specific black excellence aesthetic. The problem is the black excellence aesthetic and the black excellence ethos are 2 different things. And the black excellence ethos is a huge problem. So let me see what CB Praxis was on here. Let's see what we're talking about here.
Nobody should provoke anybody to them right. Me reach them right now. Me tired. Send we bomba clock now. What it was.
So the reaction you get when you criticize the Ralph Lauren Sparrow Morehouse Oak Bluff collab and bring up how classism and elitism are aspects of white supremacy to the Jack and Jill's blacks, and they start sounding like RNC donors. So what's Jack and Jill's? It's a strong chance that some of y'all don't know what Jack and Jill's is. Jack and Jill is a elite black social club. This is making it seem, this seems very approachable. But let's look at some other images. This is more like it right here. We're talking not just black elitism, but black exclusivity.
It's a signature fundraising event for the Pittsburgh chapter of Jack and Jill of America.
Ooh, do you know these niggas?
American
You know you can't say nigga in this room.
It also benefits the Josh.
Boy, if your pants is 1 millimeter below your waist in this room, it's a problem.
These kids have been so diligent. They've been doing this all year long.
All year.
And they love each other. They consider themselves brothers and sisters.
So listen. In isolation, putting on cute suits and pretty dresses, there's nothing wrong with that. In context and in the historical context, there's so many red flags going up. At least they got some dark-skinned folks. That's not what Jackson Jill's looked like when it first started. When it first started, there was some brown paper bags that you had to pass through before you can come into one of these meetings. And so the point of Jack and Jill's was to be a social club for black families to put their black children in so that their black children could be around other black children of means. It is it's explicitly exclusive. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some ratchet Jack and Jill's chapters around the country. But the whole point of Jack and Jill's is the underbelly of not like us. As in,
them niggas is not like us.
Them niggas didn't go to HBCUs. Them niggas didn't get their degrees. Them niggas ain't educated. This feels European monarchy. That is what it is. And the reason why Jack and Jill's exists is because once upon a time, hell, they got it on their own website. In 1938, Marion Stubbs organized a group of 21 mothers in Philadelphia with the idea of establishing a social and cultural union for their children. It aims to prepare its members with a valuable adulthood by ingraining leadership qualities. Can I see some of them pictures though? Let's see some of these pictures though. That's what I want to see. I bet you, let's see. Let's see, Jack and Jill's. So even this right here, it's a little brown paper baggish, is it not? Am I tripping? It's hard to tell, but like, you look at this first line here. Ooh, we got one sister's a little dark there. Oh, I guess I gotta explain some of y'all. I know we got white folks in the crowd. Let me just Because I know from experience, y'all gonna go repeating me. Brown paper bag test, in short, the story is people held up brown paper bags before you could enter into certain social clubs. CB Praxis points out that is one of the reasons why Delta Sigma Theta broke away from Alpha Kappa Alpha. Those are two historically black sororities. And in Alpha Kappa Alpha, there was a certain point in time where if you weren't lighter than a brown paper bag, you could not get into their organization. If you go to Alpha Kappa Alpha old pictures, no shade to the AKAs specifically, because everybody was doing it, but they put it on paper. It's not a lot of melanin in this picture. It's a very explicit curl pattern in this picture. So we got the brown paper bag test. They just kind of put it out there. It's not black excellence, it's black elitism. When I critique black excellence, I'm critiquing several things. I'm not saying that black people shouldn't strive to be successful. I'm not saying that black people shouldn't try to achieve. I'm not saying that black people shouldn't try to accumulate resources, right? I'm not saying those things. But I am saying when you create a social identity around that excellence, that's one critique. When you think that black excellence is going to save black people, when you pull out the Booker T. Washington, the Booker Right political stance, that is where we start getting into problems. When you say we're going to create a social club that you can only get in if you can afford certain dues, you have a certain academic background. Praxis says ideas around black excellence are rooted in black elitism, both are rooted in black capitalism. So yes, what I'm trying to do is tease out the idea that you can't just try to do good. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what people that defend black excellence, they try to conflate the fact that you're critiquing the systems that uphold capitalism and that are entrenched within elitism, that you're trying to, and when you critique that, they're trying to say, oh, you're just saying any black person that's successful is bad. And I'm not saying that. Does that make sense? So let me go back into TikTok. Where's TikTok? Let's see what the other people are talking about.
It's currently a conversation about Jack and Jill happening online right now. I figured as somebody who was very involved in my Jack and Jill chapter, if you know, you know, I would hop on here with some of my thoughts. I'm going to start by saying I really enjoyed Jack and Jill. It did exactly for me what my parents needed it to do. And to be honest, if and when I have kids, I'll probably put my kids in Jack and Jill. That said, I am not naive to the very valid criticisms that people have of Jack and Jill. I did not truly understand classism and elitism until I went to college. And part of the reason is because of how I grew up. So the area that I grew up in was very, very wealthy, but the city I grew up in was not. I grew up attending public school and our school system was majority minority, but most of the classes that I was in, because I was in the gifted program and STEM programs and all those things, were majority white. So when I was in elementary school, I came back home saying some crazy stuff about black people, about Africa, and my parents were like, absolutely not. And that is when Jack and Jill...
All right, so pause for a second. One of the many takes I've gotten dragged for by melanin deficient folks within the online left is when I talked about the folly of sending your black child into all white spaces. When you put your black child in an all white space, your black child, as this young lady is saying, will come home saying some wild shit about black people. That's like one of the least deleterious outcomes, that they'll just say some ignorant shit that you can correct at home. Because let's be for real, there are a lot of black folks that when they put their black child into an all-white space, they're low-key expecting and hoping that that black child develops some anti-black tendencies. And if in 2025, you're still, after, like, you have two generations deep now, you have millennials and Zs coming back and telling you how damaging it is to be the suburban black child, to be up in, to be the fly in the milk. If you're still saying that's the best thing for my child, I mean, I don't know what to say to you at this point. Some people, it's either a majority white school or extremely underserved black school, and that's a toss-up, I get it. But if you're like putting in a lot of effort to get your black child in the least melanated space possible, you are setting that child up for a lot of trauma being in that situation.
They knew that they needed to surround me with kids who were my age, of similar backgrounds, who were black, who could honestly put me in my place and give me a little bit more context.
All right, so Not quite. Not quite. So I'm gonna use myself. I'm gonna use myself, y'all. I know Jack and Jill parents. I know their kids. I'm just gonna say that each individual is indicative of, not necessarily indicative of the whole, right? There's problematic parents and children I know associated with Jack and Jill's, and there's, cool parents and children I know associated with Jack and Jill's. I very much have the option to put my kids in Jack and Jill's, but that's a choice. Jack and Jill's, to a traditionally petite bourgeois black folks that have moved their kids out to, I don't know, Johns Creek, Fayetteville, insert place here. These are places in Atlanta, wherever that place is in a city near you. It may seem like a good idea to get them around other black children like them. And that's the problem, because that still doesn't really produce a useful engagement with the totality of blackness. So instead of Jack and Jill's, I just make sure my kids are in black spaces. We take them to a black church every once in a while. We put them in black sports activities. And they also go to a school, like I'm saying that, they also go to a black school, predominantly black school with a black administration with a variety of backgrounds. I'm not gonna put that on there that she's aware but fine with it. It's a black, blue MAGA. I mean, yeah, and that's like, and so worst case scenario, you get black MAGA. Best case scenario out of Jack and Jill's, you get black, blue MAGA. You get 92%. Will she move further left? It's possible. A lot of y'all are overly comfortable with just writing off black liberals as if that's not like the core of the squad. You know what I'm saying? Y'all putting Terrell Owens on the bench. Y'all putting Allen Iverson on the bench. And I'm gonna need y'all to stop doing that. All right, black leftists, y'all gotta stop pulling Allen Iverson on the bench, talking about practice and design a game that he can play in. We can have conversations about black elitism and anti-blackness and sounding like, Candace Owens, because I want to really, really remind people that the Candace Owenses of the world have extremely outsized media presences and attention economies compared to their actual existence among black people. So the black managerial class, their job is to always keep us focused on addressing race, addressing DEI, addressing identity politics, addressing representation. It's not that we need to fundamentally restructure social forces for black liberation. It's not that we need a revolution. It's not that we need to completely eradicate our economic reality. It's that we need more black millionaires. We need more black people at the table of fascism, at the table of neoliberalism. That is the problem with what a Jack and Jill's and this. That is the underlying messaging here, that this somehow represents black liberation, that this somehow represents progress when a black person can look and act the same way as a white person with money. Shout out to Dr. Jared Ball with the myth of black buying power. That's what this is. And the reason why this is so seductive to a lot of black people is because this is the image that's been sold to us, especially my generation. This is the image that's been sold to us by our media, both black and white, as what we should be aspiring to. Again, referencing Dr. Ball. Dr. Ball talked about the fact that Nixon in the 60s explicitly said we need to go from black radicalism to black entrepreneurship. We need to replace black revolution with black business. When we get certain things as black people, when we get a black president, when we get body cams, when we get almost anything that is useful to us. And I'm not saying it's not useful. It's usually because we've reached a point where the interest of black people and the interest of the powers that be converge. And it's temporary and it's always limited in its actual scope and ability. I'm not telling you to stop buying Polo. I got a Polo shirt right here, right? I'm not telling you to take your kids out of college, to not go to HBCU. You should take your kids out of Jack and Jill's. I'm gonna draw a line. I'm gonna draw a line at Jack and Jill's, right? I'm gonna draw a line in Jack and Jill's or any elitist social club that is designed to entrench a specific like social identity. Because this young lady's experience, what she's talking about, shout out to her for the most part, this is not anything I've ever known or heard from Jack and Jill's. Every Jack and Jill's person I've engaged with has not had the type of tutelage and education that she seemed to be getting. And even what she's presenting here is still incomplete because it's not focused on the complete body of Black people. It still lends itself to, I saw John Lewis in the chat today. Shout out to John Lewis. It still lends itself to a media landscape where I can get an audience and Foreign Man can get an audience, but Lil Bill got to work twice as hard. Well, John got to work 3-4 times as hard. You know what I mean?